Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from a Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt, and I'm chairing the hearing today. Joining me on the panel are Neil Harden and Richard Whitbread. Our assessors representing the City of Winnipeg Assessment and Taxation Department are Corinne DeRockany and Jason Brown, and our administrative personnel is Jaswinder Kumar. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 3, 4, 5, and 7 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. DeRockany, please state your full name.
Jason Brown.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. DeRockany, please state your full name.
Corinne DeRockany.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, please state your full name. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. The first item on our agenda today is item number 3 on our docket. That's 105 Panet Road, file number 222480. Ms. DeRockany, when you're ready, you may proceed with your evidence.
Thank you, Madam Chair. File number 22-2480, roll number 060934699905. Address is 105 Panet Road. We are defending the assessed value of $4,159,000 for the 2023 roll year, based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021. It consists of 11 buildings with 1 story. It has an overall year built of 1979. The wall height of 13 to 20 feet, with a leasable area of 71,369 square feet. The land to plan area is 1.64. On page 2, please note the under the subject sale history, indicating a sale on December 19, 2019 for $3,500,000. On page 3, we provided map views showing its location. It is situated on the east side of the city off of Panet Road, south of Dugald Road. Aerial views are on page 4 and 5, and exterior views on page 5 to 7. On page 6, you can see the below-grade loading bay. Interior views on page 7 to 10. You will find our income workup on page 11. The one premise of 71,369 square feet with a rent of $4.89 per square foot provides a potential gross income of $348,994. We've reduced that by a vacancy loss of 4%, plus expenses at 3%, with a shortfall at $3.85 per square foot. This gives us a net operating income of $313,992. We've capitalized that at 7.55%, in which generates our capitalized value of $4,158,834, in which we rounded up to our final value of $4,159,000. On page 12 are rent comparables. They are actual net rents from the market in which our model is based off of. We've provided 5 rent comparables with a lease start in 2017 or 2018. Area range from 50,282 to 77,600 square feet. Wall height range from 16 to 22 feet. Year built of 1952 to 1978, and a net rent of $5.50 per square foot to $7.26 per square foot. You will find our capitalization rates on page 13, in which the highlighted is our industrial range of 5.55 at the 20th percentile to 7.45 at the 80th percentile. Our cap rates are similar, with ours being 7.55 and Altus at 7.50. On page 15 is the building floor plan. On page 16 and 17 is the property sale questionnaire we've received, completed by the purchaser, confirming the actual price paid. Indicates the date is August 21st, 2020, written here, which sale date differs from what was reported to land titles. Number 13, stating manufacturing, just confirms using the same intended use as before. And number 15, that the condition is fair. On page 20 is the document from land titles, in which indicates December 19, 2019, with that same value. On page 23 is the income and expense questionnaire provided to us, advising fully owner occupied. Based on this evidence provided, we believe that the assessed value of $4,159,000 to be fair and equitable, and ask for it to be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rockany. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Yes, I do. Would you agree that this is probably a valid sale, based on your observation?
Yes.
Okay. And was there, I'm looking at the verification here. Was this conducted by yourself or by Mr. Brown?
Sorry, what was conducted?
The sale verification.
No, it was provided by Yeti from the company Advance Paper Bond.
Okay. And the property sold for 3.5 million in August of 2020.
We were advised 2019. By land
Okay.
titles.
There seems to be a discrepancy in the sales price. Land Titles has it registered as December 19th, 2019. The owner indicated almost a year later, or about 9 months later, in August of 2020. Perhaps, do you know why there's a discrepancy in that?
I don't. That said, though, whether it's 2019 or 2020, that's about an 18% increase in a relatively short amount of time. Do you think that increase is fair?
The average increase that we witnessed from 18 to 20, which were the two last reference dates, I guess to 21 was 20%. So from 18 to 21 was 20%. So it's not, out of the ballpark to say that from 19 to 21 was 18%.
That's the average increase, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that wouldn't necessarily apply to every property, correct?
That's correct. There would be some higher and some lower.
Okay. In terms of the evaluation, this was obviously the model. Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
Maybe just a bit further on Mr. Navarro's questions. I see on page 20 that transfer of land occurred. I'm looking at your brief. Page 20, it shows a land transfer in December 19 for $3,500,000. That's page 20. And if you go back to page 19, it shows a mortgage accepted for $4,250,000 in December 19. Now, the question I would have is the mortgage applied to this property a clearer indication of the value of the property, possibly, in your opinion?
Is that question directed at us?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Haven't got to Mr. Navarro yet.
I mean, to me, it's part of the puzzle in determining a value. We don't know what was leveraged against that mortgage, so there could be other properties leveraged against that. But it is in line with the sale price roughly. But yeah, we wouldn't put a lot of emphasis on that, but I do think it is important to look at.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Harden, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess on the sale, it wasn't a tenanted 31. It wasn't tenant occupied at the time of sale. It says no. So it was from it was going from one owner occupied business to another owner occupied business. Is that
correct?
Correct.
Correct. And I will note that on page 6 of my brief, there's a picture with Advance Paper Box sign, and that picture is dated October 2019.
So
it's hard to see, but in the top left-hand corner, it does say October 2019. So we know they were in there in October of 2019. So
is that the new owners then?
That's the new owners. It used to be, I believe it was Paramount Windows before. It was a giant window company with a showroom and a big shop in the back.
Yeah, okay. And then I guess that explains the answer to question 32 when it wasn't based on the property's NOI, because there was no real NOI at that being owner occupied.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that. I have no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harden, and I have no questions. So, Mr. Navarro, please.
Okay. We have 105 Paddock Road. And if you turn to page 6 and 7, you can see the general area where this property is located on the corner of Dugald Road and Panet Road. If you look at page 8, you can see the breakdown of the property. Again, a significant portion of the property is actually wood frame. There is some masonry wall and some metal frame sections built in different stages. And you can see the years built in the chart there. If you turn to page 13, we have a set of comparables that we've used to derive a rent. Obviously, we've scaled back this rent. It is kind of a unique property, and it is large. It is slightly older in terms of certain sections of the property. So we have applied a rent of $4.50 per square foot. In terms of the vacancy, well, it's owner occupied, so there is no vacancy. We've applied a 4% vacancy to this property. And in terms of the expense allowances, you can see our expense allowances on page 24. And that is where the income summary is, and I'll ask you to turn to that page. Shortfall is $385. Other management, those are the non-recoverables. We've assigned 5% and 2% to those. So we have an expense allowance of $32,573, net operating income of $275,741, and a capitalization rate of $750. And we've come to a value of $3,676,550. In terms of the remaining sections of the submission, there is obviously the expenses that the owner has supplied. And you can also see a set of pictures to this property as well. And that is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Ms. Durakani, Mr. Brown, do either of you have questions for Mr. Navarro?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
No questions? Okay.
No questions.
Mr. Harden.
Okay, both parties, they're comparables. The actual rent being applied to this property is below any of the comparables. I guess how can we draw a lot of inference from both of you ranking it below any comparables, and it's simply a matter of judgment as to how far below the comparables you think it should be going?
Well, I mean, so yes, if we look at some of the comparables, I would say that they're not so much a mishmash of buildings that have been put together, more so single, I mean, they could be single occupant or multi-occupant properties, but they are effectively one building, whereas our property itself is kind of put together over different stages with different quality of construction. And in terms of the ranges that we see from our properties, we're ranging from 437 to 726. So we obviously go to the lower end of the scale in this situation, because we just don't think that in the marketplace it would achieve a rent, say above $5 per square foot. So that is our rationale for picking 450.
Okay. But
Was that question for both of us?
Yes, if you would.
Okay, yeah, similar answer. Property was constructed in piecemeal. It's a piecemeal construction. Wood frame, older. I think those and the size, 71,000 square feet. I think those are all factors in why we're seeing a bit of a lower rent.
Okay.
Yeah, it becomes a bit of a almost like a feel. You know, there's not a lot of comparables for buildings like this. It's kind of a unique property.
All right. Thank you for that then.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. Mr. Whitbread?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions, so thank you. That concludes item number 3 on our agenda. We will now move to item number 4 on our agenda. 230 Panet Road, file number 22-2124. Ms. Durockany, when you're ready, please.
Madam Chair. File number 22-2124, roll number 0605151050, address is 230 Panet Road. We are defending the assessed value of $8,446,000 for the 2023 roll year based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021. This is the Dufresne Furniture and Appliance Distribution Center. There are 6 buildings with 1 story. It has an overall year built of 1996. It has a wall height of 18 to 30 feet. The leasable area is 96,670 square feet. The land to plan area is 2.25. On page 2, the subject sale history shows the sales of the property. And the subject property lease shows a premise lease of a 10-year term with a 5.75 per square foot net rent over the 95,331 square feet. Maps provided on page 3. And this property is also located on the east side of the city off Panet Road, but on the north side of Dougal Road. Aerial views are on page 4 and 5. Exterior photographs, page 5 and 6. Interior photos on page 7 and 8. Page 9 and 10 shows the some closer views of the loading area. Page 11 is our income workup, showing the potential gross income of $655,423 with the premise of 96,670 square feet, with the rent of $6.78 per square foot. We had reduced that by vacancy loss of 4%, plus expenses at 3%, with the shortfall at 3.85 per square foot. This gives us a net operating income of $595,443, in which we've capitalized that at 7.05%. Generates our capitalized value of $8,446,000. On page 12, we've provided 6 rent comparables with actual net rents from the market in which our model is based off of. The range is from a 5-year lease to an 18-year lease, 77,600 square feet to just over 136,000 square feet. Wall height of 20 to 29 feet. Effective year built 1968 to 2003. And net rent range of $6 per square foot to $9 per square foot. On page 13, for the industrial portion, the city uses a range of 5.55 at the 20th percentile to 7.45 at the 80th percentile. Our cap rates are similar, with ours being 7.05% and Altus at 7%. Page 15 through 17 is the property sale questionnaire indicating the sold price of $7,950,000, in which was at an arm's length open market transaction. Page 18 shows a 2020 permit for washroom renovations, in which declared value of $60,000. Page 19 is the site plan. On page 21, shows the lease information, as well as the statement of income that was provided to us. The NOI of 2020 was shown as $564,841. And as seeing the 2019 figure appears, it's been stable for over the 2 years. Our NOI is $595,443. Page 23 was completed by the owner, stating a minor impact with COVID-19. Based on this evidence, we ask that the assessed value of $8,446,000 to be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions?
Again, the same questions. Was the property valuation model driven?
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of your leases, these are rent comparables that you've chosen?
No.
No? Okay. Now, in terms of the capitalization rate, this one is at 705, so it's sitting on the higher end of your scale, correct? Okay. And thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I don't, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harden?
Okay, on the lease in place, it shows the lease start of March 1st, 2012. Do you know if there was any step-ups on that?
We haven't seen any indication of step-ups on that.
So that could be then literally March 1st, 2012 value, rental value then.
9 years prior to the reference date, correct?
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do not have questions. So, Mr. Navarro.
We have, again, 230 Panic Road on pages 6 through 8. You can see pictures of this property. And on 7, you can see the construction. So again, this not as bad as the previous property, but this was constructed in different stages. But most of the wall height is around 30 feet. And again, you can see the breakdown there. In terms of the rents that we've looked at some larger rents. You can see on page 14, I would say that 1725 St. James is probably an older rent. It's not an older rent. And we have an average of $612 per square foot and a median of $595. In terms of the rent comparables that we've also taken, we've also noted some rent comparables used by the assessor in the past. An assessor in the past, not this one in particular. And we've gone with a rent of $5.75 per square foot. Now, we had a similar situation like this a couple of days ago, I believe, where we looked back at the documents and found a step. Now, pardon me, I'm having some issues with my throat today. So we have a step occurring in March 17, going to February 22. Now, the lease doesn't indicate that, but that is our belief that a step did occur in 17. Now, in terms of the rest of the information, it's pretty much the standard package for these appeals. We have a 4% vacancy allowance. We have $51,517 in expense allowance, net operating income of $474,710, and a capitalization rate of 7%. And we have an income value of $6,781,575. And in terms of the remainder of the application, and this is the submission from the applicant, and we are open for questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Navarro. Mr. Rockney or Mr. Brown, do either of you have questions for Mr. Navarro?
Just a few, thank you, Madam Chair. You have the lease for the current tenant on your, I guess they show pages 30 and 31.
Correct.
And those are both showing that the lease started March 1st, 2012 and ends February 20th, 2022.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that it says that for that particular year.
Okay, but there is no evidence of a step up other than your verbal evidence?
Other than the verbal evidence, yeah.
Okay, and that was based on just a belief, or was that based on like, dialogue with the owner? Or?
No, I mean, I would wager to say that if we look back at the 2017 or 2016 INEs, we would probably find it in there.
Okay, do you know what the previous rent was that it stepped up from?
No, I don't.
Okay, this property sold 2017 for $7.950. That's correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and your value is about $1 million lower than that today?
That is correct.
Okay. Do we have any reason to believe that sale was not arm's length open market?
I other than finding the sale on through our own sources, which I can confirm occurred, there was no further verification of the sale.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Mr. Harden, do you have any questions?
Just on your page 30, it says schedule lease information. It shows years 1 to 5 was 525, and then 6 to 10 was 575. Is that the step that you were referring to?
Good catch, Mr. Harden.
Good catch.
Yeah, I do look at these things.
To be honest, I can't even read it.
Hence the
Yes. I didn't think that we would have just invented that.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Harden. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
No, neither do I. Thank you so much. That concludes item number 4 on our agenda. Okay, we will now move to item number 5 on the agenda. Mr. Rockney, can you please read the information and the value under appeal, please?
Honestly, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what value is under appeal for this property.
All right, the original value, I think you indicated, was $3,100,000. Is that correct?
I don't have that information in front of me currently.
Okay. I think we need to recess for a short minute. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Again, we will resume with item 5 on our agenda, 615 Mission Street. Mr. or Ms. Assessor, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Roll number is 0605083000, and the assessment is $3,375,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Navarro?
We'll ask the board to confirm the assessment.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the final matter on our agenda. This is item number 7 and 360 Dawson Road, file number 222347. And I see here that the assessor has requested the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation. So, Ms. Assessor, when you're ready, let's deal with that issue first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be handling the non-cooperation, and then Corinne will be handling the quantum argument.
Thank you so much.
So I'll read in the file number and roll number just to
Sure.
start it. So it's file number 22-2347, roll number 0603234800. Civic address is 360 Dawson Road North. We're recommending that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation for failure to provide information upon request. We can turn to page 2. This shows our request for income information. We can see that we did receive the 2019 questionnaire on time. However, we did not receive the 2020 questionnaire. Turning to page 12 of my evidence. This is the application for the appeal that we're hearing today. From the applicant and signed by the owner of the property. So we can see that the mailing address was 1 Sparks Avenue, Toronto, Ontario, postal code M2H2W1. Turning to page 13, these is the history of compliance by the property owner. We can see that 2015, 16, and 17 were all returned. 18 was not. 19 was complied with, and then 20 was not, and then 21. So they missed 2 years since 2015, those being 18 and 20. Below that, we can see this is the tracking from the registered mail that Canada Post sent out. We can see the tracking number at the top left-hand corner, LP6571385515CA. This was delivered to Willowdale, Ontario, into a community mailbox, parcel locker, or apartment condo mailbox. Turning to page 14, once again, that same tracking number, LP6571385515CA, delivered on the 6th month, the 11th day of the 2021. Signature unavailable or not requested. And then turning to page 15, this is simply the blank income and expense questionnaire that was sent to the owner. Once again, that same tracking number in the top left-hand corner, LP6571385515CA. And below that, we can see that same mailing address from the application, 1 Sparks Avenue, Toronto, Ontario, M2H2W1. So based on that information, we ask that the burden of proof be put on the applicant under sections 53.3B and 54.3.2. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Brown. This particular owner can you confirm that they responded in 2021 or for 2021, for 2019, for 2017, 2016, 2015? Can you confirm that they responded those years?
That's correct. As per my evidence on page 13, yeah.
Okay. And we've also included that as well as we submitted that to the board. So for the most part, this client has submitted the most recent one, which was the request for 2021 information, that was submitted. Now, the next point that I will try and make here is, was there any attempt to call this owner?
There was not.
Okay. The next point that I'll make is, was there any signature on this delivery?
Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, there was not a lot of signatures received for certified mail in this cycle,
Okay.
just due to protocols of social distancing and whatnot.
Right, and so you kind of hit on the next point that I was going to make. This is May-ish, June, when these forms are going out, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what's starting out at that point is that people are leaving work, they're going home, assembly lines are being shut down, people are dying left and right, and I'm sure that some deliveries are not getting to their destinations, or they're not getting to the right people. Would you say that possibly that had something or may have played a part in this?
Honestly, I have no clue.
Okay. I will leave it at that and just make those additional comments that this is not the first one that I've seen this cycle where this type of omission has been, or there hasn't been any response from the owners. I don't think through negligence or ill will. I think it was just a circumstance of the time, that we were in at that point. And I think this owner has proven that they have responded in the past. So I would ask the board to, make a decision, but take into consideration that point and the fact that there was no additional contact made. When there is contact information available. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Mr. Harden, do you have any questions for the assessor first?
Not for the assessor, no.
Okay. Mr. Whitbread?
No, I have no questions for either of them.
Okay. Mr. Harden, do you have questions for Mr. Navarro?
Okay, do we have, or do you have any evidence that the business functions of this company were not being attended to during the pandemic?
I can't answer that for you. I'm going by what was happening at the time. So I would say that things were being missed at around this time. And I would say that this probably is what caused the situation. I can't, and I'm saying probably. Nothing beyond that. No, I don't have any evidence beyond that.
Okay, do you know if they paid their taxes in June of 2021?
I would say so. We would know that if they were in arrears.
Okay, so it's reasonable then to conclude that the business functions were occurring whether or not the office was open.
Well, taxes were being paid. Yeah, that is an important thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions, so we will go into, unless you need us to look at something more in your evidence, Mr. Navarro. We haven't actually opened your evidence.
Yep, that's good.
Okay. Okay. we will go in camera and discuss this as a panel, please. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. The panel has considered the assessor's request that the burden of proof be placed on the applicant for non-cooperation, and we are granting that request. So, Mr. Navarro, the burden of proof switches to you, and you can please introduce this property.
We will ask the board to confirm this assessment under section 54.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Navarro. All right then, so I believe with that, we've heard all the items scheduled and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown, Mr. Rockany, and Mr. Navarro. Thank you for your presentations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Navarro, and thank you, panel members.
Thank you.